Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Zach Drew.
And I'm Andrew Bellers.
Andrew and his wife are heading back to Michigan for Thanksgiving. So today in the studio, we're actually going to be filming two shows. So just understand that if you're watching next week and we're in the same outfits, there was no need to wash them. We're not wearing dirty clothes. It's just the way this season works out.
Yep.
I want to jump right into a few news articles before we even get to the main content. A couple news articles, fundraising update, and then diving into a couple of really big topics. One being the creation of the digital US dollar and how there's already a pilot program beginning right now in New York City and major banks are participating, as well as what California is doing, paying reparations, so to speak, to the transgender community. Very odd articles that I think you're going to find interesting. Let's start off with talking about this article. China is preparing for war. So first, you need to know this, is that Chinese President Xi Jinping just announced that, quote, China will focus on preparing for war with the country's security increasingly unstable and uncertain. Preparing for war, China, really? Who in the world is going to wage war against China? I can go ahead and tell you, it's absolutely no one. No one in their right mind, as of right now at least. The singular reason China would be preparing for war would be to invade Taiwan. Now, understand this as well. If that does happen, you can kiss away nearly 100% of your goods. Why? Because they are made in China, and the moment China invades Taiwan, the U.S. will be at war with China, immediately ceasing the trade between our two countries. Oh, well, China wouldn't do that. It would hurt them too, their GDP. Well, actually, we rely on China far more than they rely on us. I think it's somewhere around 15% of China's GDP comes from America. So if they wanted to somehow strangle America financially, and they could survive based off 85% of their GDP. Before COVID, roughly 2% of the American population were considered preppers. That number has now grown to 10%, and that's a good thing because it could all hit the fan real soon. California wokesters want to bar all conservatives from the police force. Yes, that's right. California is gearing up to implement an all leftist police force, which will obviously make every Californian much safer.
I already feel safer.
I already feel safe too. Just reading that, it's like, oh man, I want to move to California. My goodness, if all leftists, these peace officers, I won't experience any discrimination. They can do whatever they want. I feel just nice and safe in California. We have a lot of friends and watchers in California. I wonder how they feel about their security with California implementing this all leftist police force. So there's a law in California that requires police officers to be free from any, quote, emotional or mental condition that might adversely affect the exercise of the powers of the police force. And that's a good thing, right? I think we all agree with that. That was a good thing, and it was a good thing until Nazi Newsom got involved. So Newsom's new amendment requires that police officers be evaluated for bias based on sexual orientation. So Christians, who believe that marriage should be, between one man and one woman can no longer be police women and police men. Now, it continues. There is a new bill pending that will establish a Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training, the acronym is POST, to set minimum standards for the recruitment and training of these peace officers. The bill authorizes POST to suspend or revoke the certification of a peace officer if the person has demonstrated bias on the basis of gender identity or expression and or sexual orientation. Unbelievable. So they can get canned because how in the world, if you believe the definition between marriage should be between one man and one woman, where is that bias going to enter as a police officer? How is that going to affect your policing abilities? It's not. This is, once again, another illustration of commie California.
And you could argue it's like, well, maybe it's because they're worried about police officers demonstrating bias, in the field. And I think we could probably agree, if police officers were somehow demonstrating that bias in the field, in their jobs, yes, that'd be a problem. But we're not talking about that. They're literally scouring their social media They're
Yes.
looking to see what their beliefs are.
That's exactly right. I want to talk about. I have one more important article. It's shocking, and yet it shouldn't be hilarious, but it is hilarious. Talking about how San Francisco transgender income program includes 97 gender options and 19 sexual orientations. But before that, I do want to just give a quick update on our fundraising. As you know, this is November. We're entering into December. It's coming down to the wire once again, like it does every year. We have to raise over $60,000 between now and December 31st for what we need for our TV airtime and our new call center for the calendar year of 2023. Now, our friend in Paxton, Illinois, Stan, he has pledged $4,000 in matching funds, which is amazing. And then Mark Eskinder called, our attorney friend in California, and he's going to match $30,000 in matching funds. Now, where we are right now, we're right at that $4,000 mark that has been matched and matched again. We have $26,000, or just over $26,000 more that must be matched to continue all of our TV airtime for 2023. And I'm just asking you to stand with us, get behind us, give a generous gift during this season. And I know that's a lot to ask because everybody seems to be hurting financially right now with the average retirement 401k down 20 to 25%. 501c3s and nonprofits are struggling, and we are not, we are in that number. And so we need your help. And I just want to thank Linda, who gave this week, as well as Shalina, Philip Cameron of, rescues girls from sex trafficking. I was actually on his show with him, Daily Faith, this week. He gave $1,000 towards this
That's awesome.
Campaign. I want to thank Elaine, who gave again towards this. Magdalena, thank you. I want to thank David. I want to thank Carol and Kenneth, and I want to thank Dennis and Jana, all otherwise known to me as Mom and Dad. I want to thank all of you for getting involved in this campaign. Mark called me yesterday and he said, listen, I'm going to send the first $15,000 to you. It's actually in the mail right now, in good faith, that you will be able to at least match this $15,000. And I believe that we are. And so I want to thank, he gave $7,500 from the Edwin T. Meyer Trust, as well as $7,500 from the Jack and Marilyn Zuber Trust. So we thank you, Mark, and we just honor Edwin and Jack and Marilyn and the life that they lived here on earth, that even though they are gone, their money is still going to further things like the gospel of Jesus Christ. So please get involved. Go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button. From there, you can either give through PayPal or Tithely, which is an online Christian payment service and plan. And also, you can just give the old-fashioned way. Just make it out to Zach Drew Show and send it to P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. Please get involved. We've raised $4,000 in the match. We have over $26,000 more to match before December 31st, or we will go off of some of our networks, but I believe we will. It seems like every time, these last few years, every season, the last couple of weeks, is when the final large donations come. And I remember 2 years ago, we were 17,000 down, and pastor friends of ours in Southern Illinois gave the last check of $17,000
In the very last week.
In the very last week.
That's what was left, and they fulfilled it.
Last year, we were down to the wire, and Steve and Patty Grano, just amazing people. I truly love these people, and I've never met them in real life, but I've talked to them on the phone several times. Last year, we were down to the wire again, and they gave a check for $25,000. Amazing. So every year, God comes through, and we're just looking, are you a part of our miracle this year? Ask God what you should give and give a generous gift. Let's continue with this article. Here we go. San Francisco Transgender Income Program includes 97 gender options and 19 sexual orientations. No, this isn't satire. just look at these pictures on the screen. Whenever I give blood every once in a while at Red Cross, and they ask me, I'm sitting there in front of them, and they have their pen and their checkboard, and they say male or female. And it's always so hilarious. And I'm like, well, today I think I feel like a male, just to mess with them. But can you imagine being in California trying to opt into this this universal basic income program of sorts, and saying, okay, please let me know your trans status. Are you transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming, intersex, or none of the above? Okay. Can you please tell me the pronouns? Is it she, her, hers, he, him, his, they, them, theirs, it, its, co, zai, zim, zis, z, her, hers, z, jim, hers, em, is, em, is, pers, fe, fears, a, ears. I don't even know what these even mean. And neither do you.
They're just making it up at this point.
If there was a parody or satire written by some conservative that was trying to poke fun, they would set it up in a doctor's office and just, okay, can you tell me? And just go through the list. And it would take 3 minutes to get through everything. Oh, okay, thank you. Right? It's unbelievable. And also, it's kind of sad to note that, there are warts in America's history, like slavery. I don't think anybody can deny that. The African American community being enslaved and for a couple hundred years in America's history. And you always hear about reparations. Can you imagine, and I'm not for reparations, but can you imagine being an African American and reparations are finally being given out, but to the trans community? Like, what a shock. So here's the article. It says, a new guaranteed income program for transgender residents of San Francisco includes 97 gender options on its applications, plus 19 sexual orientations, including several anti-gay slurs. You can literally identify as a slur that I'm not even going to say on this program. And options for pronouns. The city-sponsored program called Guaranteed Income, that's a universal basic income, for trans people will provide low-income transgender residents with $1,200 each month for up to 18 months, according to the local ABC affiliate KGO. So there's only one criteria for this, and it's you must be trans. So understand that this flies in the face of equality, right? We're all equal, but you can get this free money if you're transgender. That flies in the face of equality. It's totally backwards. Let me educate you, okay? Men have XY chromosomes. Women have XX chromosomes. And the fact of the matter is this, is that if you're having trouble figuring that out, you might have an extra chromosome actually, right? I mean, seriously. Once again, we're talking about Mark. He's, attorney in Beverly Hills. And, he taught me a valuable lesson on the Constitution. And he did. This lesson was actually taught to him by another colleague. And now I want to teach you. Citizens of the United States have a constitutional right to be stupid. And listen, I'm a constitutionalist. I love freedom. And it's just quite obvious that many people in America are exercising their full rights under the Constitution. I feel bad for teachers today. In my day, it was about the birds and the bees. Can you imagine teaching the kids now? About the birds and the bees and the bees and the bees and the birds and the birds and the birds who think they're bees and the bees who think they're birds and the birds who used to be bees but are now birds and the bees who used to be birds but are now bees. Can you imagine the world we live in today? But the spiritual takeaway is this, and this is important. At the root, the government is providing incentive to become transgender. They're providing an incentive to warp the body that God gave us, the body that God knit together in our mother's womb, providing incentive to warp God's creation. This is another attack by evil government to destroy the first and most important God-ordained government, that being the family unit, by destroying it from its roots. Listen, I mean, think about it. They kill babies. 60, 70 million babies have been aborted. That's at the root of the problem. But they're trying to destroy the family. And they're going to go back even further than that to make you incapable of even procreating. You know, they incentivize transgenderism by destroying the family unit. And this is what evil government does. It's the same way the welfare system was incentivized to destroy the family unit by the government taking fathers out of the home, which has disproportionately affected more than any other people group, the African American community. It has removed, the welfare system has removed the black father from the family because of evil government and incentivizing it. You see, when the war on poverty began in 1964, which was a period where, it was like expansive welfare laws were being introduced by President Lyndon B. Johnson. At that time in American history, only 7% of children were born to unmarried women. However, over the next 4.5 decades, the share of non-marital births, they did explode, and Heritage.org reported on this. In 2016, which was the last data that they gathered, 40% of all children born in the U.S. were born outside of marriage. At the start of the welfare program, 7%. Now it's over 40%. Why? Why? Because there are penalties for marriage in America. Take AFDC, for example, which is an acronym for Aid to Families with Dependent Children, a government program designed so that a family's benefits are reduced as earnings rise, right? So in practice, this means that if a low-income single mother marries an employed father, her welfare benefits will be substantially reduced. For example, a single mother with 2 children who earns $15,000 per year will generally receive some around $5,000, $5,200 per year in food stamp benefits. However, if she marries a man with the same earnings level, so a total combined income of $30,000, her food stamps would be cut to zero. Zero. So why was this created? It was created to destroy a strong father figure in the home. And in return, it just simply makes the state your daddy. And welfare pays better than work. From Cato Institute report in 2013, most reports on welfare are misleading because they only focus on one program, TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. They do not take into account benefits like Medicaid, food stamps, and housing assistance. In Washington, D.C., and 10 other particularly generous states, Hawaii, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Maryland, New Hampshire, and California, these programs provide a mother with 2 young children an annual benefit worth more than $35,000 a year. Welfare benefits are not taxed, whereas wages are. So to put the welfare benefit package in perspective, we calculated the amount of money a recipient would have to earn in pre-tax income to bring home an equal amount of money if she did work a 40-hour work week. So in Hawaii, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington, D.C., welfare ends up paying you $20 an hour for a job, and it's incentivized. In the same way, in the welfare systems, it was incentivized to destroy the family unit, which disproportionately affected the African American community and took the fathers out of the home. An evil government in Commie, California, is now incentivizing warping your own body, which also, same effect, will destroy the family unit.
And one of the biggest reasons for that, and this is something that I haven't really thought deeply into before, but Yes, it's to destabilize our country. Like we've said before, a strong America is the last thing that stands in the way of a global government. But another thing is your value system. Who taught you Christ? It wasn't your school. It was your family. So when you destroy the American family, you also destroy the American value system, and it's part of the Marxist plan to instate a new value system.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And it's just, this is one thing, we have China, and the Ukraine situation and the recession leading into a depression. And then we have, country, or really, well, they wish they were a country rather than a state. Call me California, implementing things like leftist police and that law enforcement can no longer do their job, where we are incentivizing warping your body. It's all Marxism, and it's creating a perfect storm, people. That is what we are seeing. It's a perfect storm that is about ready to come upon the horizon. I want to play a clip. We're going to be talking about how banking giants and the New York Fed just started a 12-week digital dollar pilot. We've been talking about this for a long time. I want to run just one clip that we created on this program in the middle of 2021. It's actually early September of 2021. But before I do that, I just want to remind people that because of the generous gifts between Mark Eskinder and Stan Foster, they have matched up to $34,000 for our fundraiser. We have matched right now $4,000 of that $34,000. We've got to match the rest by December 31st to be able to continue on all of our networks. I'm praying for a miracle. Please stand with us. Go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button, or write us at Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois 62525. We have a long ways to go and about 5 or 6 weeks to get there. Stand with us right now. Let's play this clip, and then we're going to come back to the article. And I'm talking about the IMF, I'm talking about China, and I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. And I'm also not talking about just some banking executives. I'm talking about those that are truly in control of things like the Federal Reserve. So the ones that are in control, they're very anti-cryptocurrency. Now notice I did not say digital dollar. Now why are they? Because cryptocurrency is decentralized, meaning that no one entity, no one group, no one government can control it. It's decentralized. So if they can't control it, then they don't want it to succeed. Why? Because he who controls the money controls everything. They want to be in control. But because this is the way that the world is moving, our government will create their own digital dollar to remain in control. Not necessarily a cryptocurrency, because those are established with something called blockchain technology, which enables it to remain decentralized, but a digital US dollar, the DUSD. Now, what can the average person do to prepare for this? We're going to be getting to that too. But I just need to say this. It is vital that you understand what is about to take place, I believe, over the next 18 months. So we said that in September of 2021. And I rarely ever put dates on it. I don't even know if I meant to be intentional about it, but I did say 18 months, which puts us in March of 2023. Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to fully implement it by then, but we're seeing it now. We're seeing it now. Banking giants and the New York Fed started 12-week digital dollar pilot. Let me read this article from Reuters. Global banking giants are starting a 12-week digital dollar pilot with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the participants announced this week. Citigroup, HSBC Holdings, MasterCard Incorporated, and Wells Fargo and Company are among the financial companies participating in the experiment alongside the New York Fed's Innovation Center. The project, which is called the Regulated Liability Network, will be conducted in a test environment and use simulated data. The pilot will test how banks using digital dollar tokens in a common database can help speed up payments. Earlier this month, Michelle Neal, head of the New York Fed's market group, said it sees promise in using a central bank digital dollar to speed up settlement time in currency. This spells the death of the dollar. And understand this, isn't important. They never said cryptocurrency. It's always digital dollar. Totally different currencies, if you will. I don't know if you would really call, I guess cryptocurrency is a type of currency. Two different types of currency. Cryptocurrency is based on blockchain. It's a digital ledger, so to speak. And the thing that people like about cryptocurrency is that it is 100% deregulated. It's also not backed by anything, so there's a lot of risk. A lot of people wouldn't touch it with a 20-foot pole. Other people will swear by it. It's totally deregulated, meaning there is no one bank, no one country. It's not like the United Nations or the EU or America owns any type of or controls any type of cryptocurrency. It's totally unregulated and decentralized, meaning no one group can have control over the money. Well, that's a problem because he who controls the money controls the world. And these things are, because the dollar is imploding and people, even though there is a dip in cryptocurrency, 60 million Americans still own some form of cryptocurrency right now. And cryptocurrency is a threat. It is a control threat to those who control the world. Understand that. So whenever it's a digital dollar, it is not a cryptocurrency because it can be regulated, it can be tracked, it will be tracked, you will be spied on, every single thing. If you give little Joey 6 quarters last week to take your trash down to the bin or in the driveway, you can't do that. Every single thing you do will be tracked by the federal government. And they are in a pilot program right now with major institutions participating. And understand that when this does take place, we don't have time to get into this section right now, but by way of review, because we've discussed it on the program before, whenever they implement this across the board in America and they get rid of the paper money, the physical cash, and it moves to a digital US dollar of sorts, there will be a conversion rate. There will be a conversion rate. Now, this recession that we're in, many people believe, and I am of that mind, that it is going to get worse. And it's going to not be like 2008 because there's certain factors that are no longer in play like they were in 2008. And it's likely going to be much worse. And many reputable people that are being pessimistic about the situation, and I'm not saying I disagree with them either. They just are seeing it for what it is. They believe that what is coming is going to be worse than the Great Depression. It will be worse. So understand that it is all on the line right now for the Federal Reserve. It's the 11th hour for them. In a football scenario, it's Hail Mary territory. See what you can do. The dollar has been the world's principal reserve currency since the end of World War II. The Fed has been prepping for a scenario to remain in control during and in the aftermath of this global financial storm that we are in and that is coming. Understand that. And they have what I would call an extremely calculated panic button, the DUSD. The DUSD. That is basically the digital currency, the digital US dollar. You can call it different things. There will be a conversion rate. The Fed will decide what the loss that everybody takes. Remember how I said it's a perfect storm, but it's all Marxism at its roots? This is no different. The Fed will decide what the loss that everybody takes is. This will be a great way to save us from the coming depression, right? You may have 6 months to 1 year to convert your old dollars into DUSD with incentives along the way. 90% back in the DUSD right now. Well, you better do it now before such and such date when it decreases to 60%. This will also be the time to redistribute wealth. If you're poor, maybe it'll be a 1-to-1, dollar for dollar. If you're poor and oppressed, you just hit the welfare lotto. For every dollar you turn in, we'll give you $1.50 back. Well, not so for those that are middle class, upper middle class, or upper class. It is truly going to be a redistribution of wealth. And we're totally out of time for today's program, so we'll have to finish this content next week.